The camera doesn't open on pyro. It doesn't open on the crowd. It opens on chaos. A shaky backstage shot. Production assistants rushing past. Security yelling off camera. The audio catches fragments of raised voices, sharp and dangerous, echoing down a concrete hallway deep inside the arena. The cameraman hesitates for half a second, then pushes forward. And then we see them. Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar, face to face. No smiles. No theatrics. No bravado. Just tension so thick it feels like the air itself is about to snap. Paul Heyman's eyes are wide, not with fear, but with something far more complicated. Frustration, hurt, betrayal. His hands are shaking as he clutches his phone, knuckles white, jaw tight. Brock Lesnar stands opposite him, arms folded, shoulders squared, breathing slow and controlled. The beast incarnate isn't pacing. He isn't shouting. He's doing something far more unsettling. He's calm. Turn the cameras off. Heyman snaps at a producer behind the lens. This is not for television. Brock doesn't even look at the camera. Leave them on, Brock says quietly. Those 3 words freeze the hallway. Heyman turns back to Brock, incredulous. You want the world to see this? After everything, after all these years? Brock finally unfolds his arms and takes a step forward. Not aggressively, deliberately. I'm tired of talking behind closed doors, Brock says. If you've got something to say, say it. Heyman laughs, but it's hollow. Desperate. Oh, I have plenty to say. I just didn't think you'd have the nerve to stand there and pretend like you don't know exactly why we're here. Brock tilts his head slightly. Say it. Heyman exhales, running a hand over his bald head. You abandoned me. The word hangs in the air. You walked away, Heyman continues, voice rising. You didn't call. You didn't explain. You didn't even look back. One day, I was standing beside the most dominant force this industry has ever known, and the next, he gestures sharply. You were gone. Brock scoffs. That's your version. Heyman steps closer now, pointing a finger at Brock's chest, something he hasn't dared to do in years. I stood by you when the locker room hated you. When management feared you. When the world called you a mercenary, a part-timer, a monster. I made them believe in you. I spoke for you when you didn't want to speak at all. Brock's jaw tightens. And when it was time for you to stand with me, Heyman says, voice cracking despite himself, you vanished. Brock finally raises his voice, just slightly. I didn't vanish. I walked away from the games. Heyman shakes his head violently. No, you walked away from loyalty. A production assistant tries to step in. Brock shoots him a look. The assistant backs away immediately. You want loyalty? Brock asks. Let's talk about loyalty. Brock steps even closer now. They're nearly nose to nose. Every time you opened your mouth, it wasn't about Brock Lesnar. It was about Paul Heyman, Brock says. Your leverage, your survival, your next angle. Heyman's eyes widen. That's a lie. Brock smirks. Is it? The crowd in the arena begins buzzing as the argument plays on the big screen. Chants ripple through the building, but backstage, neither man hears them. You didn't stand beside me, Brock continues. You stood behind me, hiding, whispering, manipulating. Heyman's voice drops to a dangerous whisper. I protected you. You controlled me, Brock fires back. That word hits Heyman like a slap. You think I controlled you? Heyman snaps. You are Brock Lesnar. No one controls you. Exactly, Brock says. So stop acting like I owe you my life. Silence. Heyman swallows hard. For a moment, the legendary advocate looks small. Not weak. Human. I gave you purpose, Heyman says quietly. When you came back, when you were lost between worlds, I gave you direction. Brock's eyes soften for a split second. Then harden again. You gave me a script, Brock replies. I wanted truth. Heyman laughs bitterly. Truth. This business doesn't run on truth. It runs on perception. And that's the problem, Brock says. Another voice suddenly cuts in. Enough. The camera pans. A group of officials and security rush in, trying to separate the 2 men. Heyman throws his arms out. No, no, don't you dare pull him away. Not now. Brock doesn't resist. He just stares at Heyman, unblinking. You want the truth, Brock says. Here it is. The officials hesitate. I didn't leave you, Brock continues. I outgrew you. Heyman's face goes pale. The hallway erupts with gasps from nearby staff. You think you made me? Brock adds. I was a beast before you. I'll be one long after you. Heyman steps back as if struck. You used me, Heyman says softly. All those years, all those battles, and this is how you rewrite history. Brock leans in one last time. History doesn't care how you feel about it. Heyman's eyes burn with fury now. You want to do this? Heyman snarls. You want to tear everything down? Brock nods once. Yes. Heyman straightens his suit, composure returning in fragments. Then understand this, Brock Lesnar. I didn't survive this industry by accident. Brock turns to leave. Heyman calls after him. You walk away again, and I promise you, you will regret it. Brock stops. Slowly turns. The two lock eyes as the screen fades to black. The commentators are left stunned. And Raw has just crossed a line it can never uncross. Raw returns from commercial, but the tension hasn't cooled. It's multiplied. The commentators are still trying to piece together what the world just witnessed when the feed abruptly cuts backstage again. Same hallway. Different energy. Brock Lesnar is halfway down the corridor, rolling his shoulders, jaw clenched, breathing heavier now. Not angry. Focused. Like a predator deciding whether to hunt. Paul Heyman stands behind him, surrounded by officials, but he's no longer yelling. He's smiling. A dangerous, knowing smile. Brock, Heyman calls out smoothly. You always did hate hearing the truth. Brock stops walking. Slowly, deliberately, he turns back around. Officials immediately tense. What now? Brock asks. Heyman steps past security. Now we stop pretending this is emotional. He gestures between them. This, Heyman says, is business. The word makes Brock laugh. A short, humorless sound. Everything with you is business, Brock replies. And that's why I'm still standing, Heyman fires back. While everyone else who crossed me ended up forgotten. Brock steps closer again, officials scrambling to keep pace. You think you're untouchable? Brock asks. Heyman shrugs. I think I'm prepared. Brock's eyes narrow. For what? Heyman leans in, voice low. For the consequences of waking up a beast who doesn't need an advocate anymore. The crowd erupts as the implication sinks in. You don't need me, Heyman continues. That's fine, but don't pretend I don't know how to build monsters. Brock's fists clench. Careful, Brock warns. You're playing a dangerous game. Heyman nods calmly. I always do. Suddenly, a loud crash echoes down the hallway as Brock slams his fist into a nearby production crate. The sound makes everyone jump. You want honesty? Brock growls. Here it is. I trusted you. And trust is something I don't give twice. Heyman doesn't flinch. Then maybe you shouldn't have broken it the first time. The two men stare each other down, neither willing to blink. An official finally steps between them. That's enough. This ends now. Brock looks at the official like he's invisible. Heyman raises a hand. No, let him hear this. Heyman steps forward again. You think walking alone makes you stronger, Heyman says. But this industry doesn't reward isolation. It devours it. Brock responds instantly. I've been devouring this industry since day one. Heyman smiles wider. Not without guidance. That does it. Brock shoves past security, grabbing Heyman by the collar and slamming him back against the concrete wall. The camera shakes violently as officials scream. Brock, Brock, they yell. Heyman gasps, but even then, he's smiling. This is who you are, Heyman coughs. And this is why you'll always prove my point. Brock releases him, stepping back before things spiral completely out of control. You're not worth it, Brock says coldly. Heyman straightens his tie, chest heaving. Then why are your hands shaking? The line cuts deep. Brock looks down at his fists. Slowly unclenches them. You don't scare me, Brock says. Heyman nods. Good. Fear is temporary. Relevance is forever. Security finally forces real distance between them. As Brock is escorted away, he stops one last time. This isn't over, Brock says. You wanted the truth. Now you've got a war. Heyman watches him go, eyes dark, calculating. Good, Heyman whispers. I was afraid you'd lost your edge. The camera lingers on Heyman's face as Raw fades to the next segment. The commentators are silent for several seconds. Then one of them finally speaks. We just witnessed the collapse of one of the most dangerous alliances in WWE history. Another responds quietly, and the beginning of something far worse. The screen fades out, leaving one question hanging over the entire WWE universe. When Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar finally collide again, who survives the fallout?